Let's take a look at the life of Jordan. It's a really good way to celebrate what a fantastic koala he was. Right from the start, when I first identified him back in June 2015, you could see that big scent gland on his chest, and you can see the power in him, which are two really big hallmarks of an alpha male. Right from the start, it was easy to pick Jordan because he's always been such a dark brown colour. Quite a few of the Tuckarimba koala bloodlines have this colouring in them. One of the things that often characterised Jordan was how when I'd come along and he'd see me with the camera, he would just stop chewing with a leaf hanging out his mouth. This series of photos were taken over a couple of minutes, and in that whole time, he just stopped chewing and stared at me. This was one of his favourite sleeping positions. What posture he had. In typical koala fashion, he could sleep anywhere, and he really didn't mind whether the wind was blowing or whether it was calm. Just so long as he had a good branch, he could get comfy. In 2015, Jordan was 4 to 5 years old and just hitting maturity. Maybe we should have named him Jimmy, as he was pretty good at playing that tree branch guitar. A lot of people don't realise just how nimble koalas are because most of the time we see them, they're just sleeping in the trees. But they are arboreal animals, which means animals that are made to live in the treetops and they can move around with ease. It can be hard to tell the difference between scratching and grooming as they use a double fused toe in their fur. And now into 2016. There's that same posture again. And there's that leaf hanging out the mouth. It's hard for humans to understand koala communication because it's almost completely done by smell. The smell is on a level that we can't even really detect. Much like dogs going along and smelling posts, koalas are constantly smelling the trunks and the air as they pick up the messages that have been left by those that came before. Just watch the strategy he uses here by pushing that thinner branch back, wedging his feet in and getting himself into the position he wants to be in to be stable, ready to eat. Life, of course, isn't all just sleeping in the trees. An alpha male has got to have altercations with other males at times. This was Legion when he was a young fellow, about 2 years old. And of course, Jordan won. And any other time, of course, why, butter wouldn't even melt in his mouth. By this point in watching Jordan's movie, it should be quite obvious to you how Jordan is able to be told apart from any of the other koalas, because he has a very distinctive face and colouring, and often it was even purely his posture that would give me a good clue that I was looking at Jordan before I got to be sure that I'd identified him. Jordan gives a great demonstration here a couple of times on the way koalas leap from the tree out and away into the long grass. Just look at that dark scent gland, and he's got no neck, he's so thick and big. And now we head into 2017 of his life. Koala pelts are incredibly water resistant, so Jordan never had any problems sleeping out in the rain like all koalas do. To be honest, most koala interaction tends to happen during the night, so I'm very lucky to ever get video of koalas in movement at all. You might be able to understand that it can be really hard for me to take decent video, because a lot of the time I'm just trying so hard not to be laughing my head off. Jordan was truly a wild and free koala, because as you can see here, he goes straight through the boundary fence. People often mistakenly think that I get very close to the koalas, but in actual fact, I simply have good camera gear and I'm quite a distance from them whenever I'm taking any photos or video. And now we go into 2018 with Jordan. One truly has to wonder at the koala's ability to balance and hold on to these tree branches. They make it look so easy, and they're quite a long way from the ground. It was a common thing for me to come out of a morning and look out my kitchen window and see Jordan sitting right here in this branch surveying his territory. That scent gland is now huge, and you can see how much it's stained and the hair that rubs off it as he rubs it against the trees all the time. This is a real sign of a true alpha male. If you've looked carefully, you might notice that there's two main types of trees that you're seeing Jordan in during this movie. These ones with the dark brown trunk that almost look like his fur is the pink bloodwood tree. They don't eat the pink bloodwood very much. It's a really important shelter tree, however, for koalas. This tree that's got the greyer, smoother bark is the forest red gum tree, and these are a primary koala food tree. Some great behaviours we see here as Jordan leaps out and away from that tree trunk. And then you see the little white bottom waving along as he trundles through the thick native grasses. up onto a small tree trunk to get above the grass, have a bit of a look around, leap off, and off he goes again. So he's moving in stages to be safe. To be honest, I have no idea why he then went in such slow motion up the trunk of this small tree. But obviously, he knew there was some reason behind it all. Again, you can see that when I'm filming the koalas, I'm actually nowhere near them. This ball shape is the classic koala sleeping position, and when people are reporting koalas, sightings of koalas to us, we usually ask them, are you looking at something that's curled up in the size of a soccer ball or in the size of a rock melon, which is a hand-sized fruit? Another classic thing about true alpha male koalas is their incredible calmness. It's like they have a real self-assurance. So what do you think? Would you like to see him do that leap again? Koalas are really much more agile than people figure. This is being filmed in the morning and there's fog, which is why it's really quite difficult to see Jordan. But just look at how large that scent gland area is and how much hair has been rubbed right off through his actions as alpha male of rubbing against the tree trunks. Once again, that classic foot up position that Jordan was always so famous for. And as it turns out, he's actually holding Bullet hostage in the tree at the moment. You can see Bullet's out on a limb, having to just lay there and take it. Now this time, Jordan is sitting in a large red gum tree, and up over there, there's another male koala held hostage. This time it's a male koala named Winter. Winter's eating, but Jordan's sleeping, but he has the whole situation well in hand, I can assure you. This is the reason that koalas have such long and sharp claws, and it's the reason why you can always tell a koala's healthy when they have really well developed shoulders and forearms, because it's their forearms that do nearly all of the work climbing the tree trunks. Here's another instance where we can see Jordan has got Bullet bailed up in a tree. One of the strategies that the males take is the one who's being chased goes as far out on a limb as they can, hoping that the other koala won't be able to chase them out, because otherwise the limb would break, and they then wait until they get released. Jordan's now having a good feed in the tree there, and what you can see is there's Bullet sitting up the top of the tree waiting to be released once again. So we can see that this year there's been a lot more alpha male activity that I've been able to capture, as Jordan has been really having to establish more of his dominance as a male, because thousands of new trees have been growing on the property and the koala population has been increasing in general. Therefore, Jordan has had to work harder to stay on the top of the heap. I never saw a situation where anyone was able to seriously threaten his dominance, however. And into 2019, where Jordan is 9 years old. Now we're heading into some excerpts from my absolute favourite situation that I ever witnessed. This situation happened early one morning in February of 2019, and there's 3 players in this little unfolding situation, which is Jordan, who you can see here, Maxine, who actually already had a joey in pouch at the time, and Bullet. I published this video in a larger little movie sequence, and it is on my channel on YouTube, and the video is titled Walking the Line, A True Koala Tale. That was Bullet there on the side of the tree, and down here we can see Maxine watching from what she's hoping is a safe vantage point. It was an absolutely fascinating lot of behaviour that I got to witness, and this happened over a couple of hours with me stopping and starting filming, and I've now just put the highlights together. But as I say, you can watch the full video. See ya, Bullet. And that signalled Jordan coming back to give a good hearty alpha male marking all over the tree. You can see the intense behaviour of him smelling everything, because he's got the smells that he left, the smells that Maxine left, and then the smells that Bullet left. This is how the alpha males rub that scent gland. Look at the way he moves up that tree, rubbing his chest against the tree. Basically, he's going, mine, 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 mine. very often as they do this chest rubbing and the scent marking, they will actually just slowly dribble urine along the branches of the tree as well, because for many types of animals, urine marking gives a lot of really powerful messages. Now he's actually out on the branch of the tree where Maxine had been sitting earlier and checking out the smells that she left behind. And he decided to basically finish the situation with him sitting king on that branch. The only reliable way we have of telling the age of a koala is by the amount of wear on their molar teeth. So chewing these eucalyptus leaves, as you can see, takes a lot of teeth action, and over the years their teeth slowly wear down. Of course, the only way to actually do that check on the teeth is under an anaesthetic. I wish I'd been able to get a clearer view through to him here, because I don't know if you can see just how much power he has in those arms to be able to feed in positions like that. If you look closely at his face in these two photos taken in August, you can see deep gouges out of his face that have been the result of fighting with other males, but they healed up very cleanly without needing intervention. This footage is taken at the very front corner of the property in the plantation where I grow trees specifically to cut to feed the koalas that are in care. It's not very often that you get to catch a koala running on the ground like that. Jordan was chosen to be one of 15 koalas in the area that became part of a research project in September 2019. We fitted a tracking collar onto him, and you can see he then had an ear tag put in. Unfortunately, the batteries in the collars failed and they were removed not long after, and it would appear that the drought weather conditions affected the batteries. We do have some really vital information that is still being analysed as a result of that. When the collar was removed, Jordan had actually put a 0.5 kilogram on and increased in his body score condition. There was no real change in Jordan's movements or behaviour during the time he had the collar on or afterwards, as you can see him here on the edge of the plantation, just like he'd been 5 or 6 months earlier. It's highly likely that the long drought and fires that Australia experienced were the stress event that caused the turning point in Jordan's health. Unfortunately, this is something that we are seeing with koalas, which is that a healthy koala remains healthy until there's a stress event, and then they can go downhill very quickly. In 2020, I only saw Jordan on the property 2 times, and he appeared to be in full health both times. It was then 5 weeks went by, during which time I didn't see Jordan at all, before he was hit by the car and taken into care, and the story of his demise began to unfold. But this video was made to celebrate his life, not his death, because he leaves behind many progeny, and he lives on through the internet forever, making us all aware of how important every koala is.